On to the NFL stocks.
Oh, yeah. All right, just a quick refresher on the rules for the stocks. I had it pulled up somewhere. Here we go. We are still capped at 2 shares per team per member. Last season, we upped the restriction to 2 teams, or two shares. Now, since we started out at 2, we're not increasing it until week 6. And I think that's the only thing I need to update. But basically, the values are based on win-loss percentage. So right now it's really easy because there have been 4 games played for every single team. So it's if you're 1-3, you're worth $250. If you're 2-2, you're worth $500. If you're 3-1, you're worth $750. And if you're 4-0, you're worth $1,000. And then if you're 0-4, cough cough Jaguars, you're worth $100. There are no free stocks. So that is everything. So to refresh on who has what, it's on the screen now, right above us. But I will go through it. I have 2 shares of the Chargers stock, 2 shares of the Panthers stock, 2 shares of the Bengals stock, and 1 share of the Bears stock. And then you've got 2 shares of Chargers, 2 shares of Falcons, 1 share of Broncos, 1 share of Packers, and 1 share of Panthers. I have included the initial cost for all of our teams. Y'all can't see it, but we can, so that we can make informed decisions about, hey, is this team, has it increased in value? Has it decreased in value? Is it worth selling? But if you want to talk about your stocks, go for it.
Yeah, I will, I'll kick us off with a move because as we can still buy, this isn't just like, oh, we're going to sell episode. We can still buy, the stocks that are coming in at a cheap price. And I left myself with $450 in the bank, but I'm feeling like I need to up that capital. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to sell one of my Chargers stocks, which are currently sitting at 500 value each. And that is going to increase the money in my bank to 950. But as I've made a transaction, as I've made a move, I'll go ahead and switch to whatever move you are going to make.
So, I actually don't know if I want to make any moves this week, except for selling the Panthers. So I bought 2 shares of the Panthers stock. They were $125 each. So if they were 0-4 right now, I would have lost $50. And I would have been quite okay with that. But because they won that one game when Andy Dalton came in as the savior, they are now worth $250 a piece. So they have doubled in value. I am getting out of that, selling 2 Panthers stocks and adding $500 to my bank to get it up to $1,325.
That's a sizable bank account there, especially with a lack of moves coming from you.
Yeah, I will say right now. So my big problem is the Bengals, where I purchased 2 shares of the Bengals stock, and they were valued at $550 a piece, and they are now worth $250 a piece because they started off slow. I do think, and I don't think this is like an outlandish take, they are going to get better. They are going to win more games, and they're going to be worth more money. However,
you can't buy them at this.
We are
price.
Still capped at 2, so I cannot purchase at $250 a piece. I would love nothing more than to purchase at $250 a piece. And basically everybody else, I'm just not sure if I can believe in them. Like the Jaguars, should I buy them at 100? Absolutely, I should, but I don't. Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna buy 2 shares of the Jaguars at 200 or at 100 a piece. So this is kind of the no-brainer because they can never be worth less than 100 a piece. So buying 2 shares of the Jaguars is basically just only good things can happen. And I'll be down to $11.25 in the bank account. But
alrighty,
yeah.
And with your 2 transactions, we kind of go in a little snake formation here, and I'll go ahead and I'll get the matching out of the way here with selling my Panthers stock. I'll go ahead and clear that for myself, and that gives me 250 back, and that gives me 250 back into my bank account. So going from 950 up into 1,200, where I'm currently sitting, is a sizable bank account, and now as it snakes back to me and I get to make my third transaction, I'm going to go ahead and also match you with the purchase of the 2 Jaguars. That was something I saw, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to be doing that. And then, of course, you steal my thunder by doing it right before me. So this little rendition of mine is just copying your snaking, but whatever.
A couple to watch as you're typing all that in. The Cardinals are 1-3 right now, and they play the 49ers this week, which is a tough matchup. So if they drop one here, they're going to get even cheaper, and that'll be a team that I think about picking up. But I'm not going to do it at 250 when I think they could lose next week. Mm-hmm. Let's see, any other 1-win teams? I mean, obviously the Bengals we're watching. The Rams are tough to buy into at 1-3 at 250 because of injuries. Mm-hmm. So it's hard for me to do that. Same with the Dolphins. Because Tua's hurt, I think they could continue to drop games and get even cheaper. And then the Browns are the other 1-3 team where absolutely not going to happen. I'm not.
Yeah, nope, not even thinking about it.
Nope.
The Rams you mentioned, yeah, I think that they are a good purchase for maybe like 3 weeks down the line when they start getting some weapons back, some health back. But right now it's hard to buy into a injured team. So is there any moves for you to respond to my...
Yeah, I started looking at it a little bit more. The 49ers are sitting at 2-2, and the Ravens are sitting at 2-2. And I think both of those teams are better than 2-2. So I'm going to pick up, basically using all of my money, 1 share of each the 49ers and the Ravens. So I'll be spending 500 on the 49ers and 500 on the Ravens. And it's hard to buy in at 500 because it is such a high buy-in price. But I do think that both of those teams are going to finish the season above 500. And I just can't not pick them up right now while I have the funds to do so. So I think, sorry to make 2 moves, but I was going to buy 2 shares of the 49ers, and then I saw the Ravens right below them also at 500. So
well, no, those are your 2 allocated moves for the snake.
Oh, the snake, there. True. Yeah.
So you go ahead and you've dropped your bank account down to 125. And after my purchase of the Jags, I didn't say it, but I'm sitting at $1,000 in the bank. So I could do a move like you of purchasing a couple 500s and, go 0 in my bank account and really hope for some profit here. I may play it a little bit safer and just spend 500 to kind of keep that capital for next week. I'm looking at a couple teams that I think are going to lose this week, but I am hopeful to get into the week after that. So I think I'll be doing that. And I think the team that I'm most interested in buying in at 500 on is... I have a few options. I'm looking through them again now to verify my options. And it's going to be the Ravens. I'm matching you. We're kind of keeping that same similar thing going. But I was leaning Ravens. You picked them up. I'm not going to let your monetary ideas clash with mine. So I'm going to go ahead and pick up 1 Ravens stock. And that's going to drop me 500 of my bank account down to 500 in my bank account. And that has me now sitting at owning a solid 8 stocks right now. So 8 stocks in 6 different teams. I'm feeling very confident with the slate I have as well.
I have 9 in 6 different teams, and I think the only difference between our moves is I did not sell one of my Chargers stocks, and I had a little bit more money to play with. I didn't spend as much as you did in the initial buying period. But the thing about the Chargers is they're going into a bye week, so there's no real reason to sell right now. They're not going to drop or increase in value, and it gives me an extra week to see the teams that I think I might want to buy. Teams like the Cardinals that could lose this week, if they end up dropping one this week, I might pick them up by selling my Charger stock next week. But there's just a couple that I want to keep an eye on that I'm not quite confident in or confident enough in to buy. And holding on to the Charger stock does no harm for me. So I'm going to go ahead and continue to do that.
Yeah, I had the inverse ideology where, okay, the Chargers aren't going to have a chance to win this week. So the value is not going to go up. after this week, I'm going to sell them now as opposed to next week. So I sold them now to get that extra bank. And I'm glad I did because it leaves me enough in my bank that I ended up having enough to play with, feeling comfortable enough to buy the Ravens I just did.
Yeah.
So heading into next week, I do have still 500, which, you could say, oh, you could have kept it in the Chargers. There's no need. I'd rather have the money available now to play with.
Yeah, there's no real difference in what we did with selling the Chargers versus keeping them. However, if I had the extra money, I probably would have spent it. So it's probably good that I don't have that extra money. But the idea of converting 2 shares of the Chargers stock into 2 more shares, one of the 49ers and one of the Ravens, is a very, very tempting idea. But I don't think I'm going to do it. I think I'm going to play it a little bit safer and just hold off for one more week. The Ravens are going into a tough game with the Bengals where they could drop one, so I don't want to just dump my money in at 500. And the 49ers are also going into I don't know if I'd consider it a super tough game against the Cardinals, but it's a divisional matchup against a team that I think is pretty decent. So I think I'll hold off on making any more moves.
So that'll wrap up our stocks for the week. Happy with the moves I made, happy with the profit I made, and
yeah, you're killing it so far. The net worth 3,700 versus my net worth 3,300. You spent a little bit more at the start, and you ended up making a little bit more. So
I'm cashing in on that extra money I shelled out early on. Now I'm switching to the kind of okay, we'll wait and see. We'll try to play it a little safer.
Thanks for watching this segment from the Franchise Tagged podcast. If you enjoyed it, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. Stick around for the full episode dropping tomorrow at noon. We've got even more in-depth analysis, some hot takes, and then just other general breakdowns coming your way. So stay tuned. And don't forget to follow us on TikTok and Spotify for clips as well as full podcast episodes on that Spotify. See you soon.